All right, today we're going to look at how to solve algebra word problems, and we're going to use this Google Jamboard to kind of go over some stuff. So the word problem that we're going to look at is this one here, and this is the type of word problem that you will see in many algebra questions and worksheets and tests and stuff like that. And so the trick of this type of word problem, of solving these types of problems, is to figure out how to take this from a number sentence and how to convert it into how to go from a word sentence and convert it into a number sentence um, into a two-step algebra problem that you can solve. So we've done lots of practice in solving two-step algebra problems. So this is the next step: learning how to interpret what this means and convert it into a number sentence. So when we look at this question here, it says 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled, and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were in each bus? So maybe they were going on a field trip to Oak Hammock Marsh, or um, the big museum that I can't remember the name of downtown, the uh, the Museum of Human Rights, or maybe but that would basically be almost our entire school, 331 students. And so they went on a field trip, and the thing that you're trying to figure out is how many students were there on each bus. So what you need to do when you're solving an algebra problem is you need to assess the information that you're given. So the first piece of information that we are given is that there was a total of 331 students. So we'll say that 300 students total. The next piece of information that we're given is that there was 6 buses. And there was and the buses were full, and we don't know how many people there are in each bus. So we're going to write that as X. And we know that there was 7 students traveling in cars. So this 7 here, this represents our constant term because the amount of students that are traveling in cars is constant. It's not going to change. You're given that information and you're told that there are 7 students traveling in cars. So that is why that is your constant term. So, and the reason why, we know that there's 6 buses, but we don't know how many students there are in each bus. And so that's why that is X. That's why that's a variable, because we don't know how many students are. In fact, that's what we're trying to solve with this problem. So once you have an equation that looks like this, once you have correctly written it out, then you can go about solving it. So let's just write it out again. So 331 equals 6x plus 7. Now we all know that we can just do two-step algebra to solve this problem. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and that will give us 324 equals 6x. And then I'll have to divide both sides by 6. And I'll have to do some quick mental math. 324 divided by 6. Well, the way that I would do mental math to figure this out is I would think, well, how many times does 6 go into 300? Because that's a nice easy number. It goes 50 times. And how many times does 6 go into 24 times? It goes into 24 4 times. So I could easily say that there are 54 students on each bus, because the X represents how many students there are on each bus. So that's how you solve a problem like that. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so let's take a look at this question here. Aaliyah had $24 to spend on 7 pencils. After buying them, she had $10. How much did each pencil cost? Okay, so there's a couple ways you could go about solving this problem. Let's go through one of those ways. So the first way we're going to go through is we're going to start out with the information we know. We know that she had $24 total. And we know that after she bought 7 pencils, she had $10. So we're going to think about our constant terms here. So the first constant term that we know for sure is that she had $24. She owned $24. So I'm going to write 24. And after she had spent money on 7 pencils, she had $10. So we can write it out as 24 minus 7p. P is going to represent pencil. 7p equals what she had after. So she had $24. She spent a certain amount of money on 7 pencils, although we do not know how much each pencil costs, and so we're using the letter P to show the cost of a pencil. And after she had spent this money and subtracted that money, she had $10. So we can write it out as 24 minus 7p equals 10. Okay, so when we're solving this problem, we've done a couple like this before. We can do it in a few different ways, as long as we remember that whatever we do on one side of the equation, we must do on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. It's not ideal to go into the negatives because you have to do a lot of other math, mental math, to solve problems like that. But let's do that anyways. So once we do that, we've got that negative 7p is equal to negative 14. And when we subtract negative 7, or sorry, let me just say that again. When we divide, oh, I don't know why I'm erasing it. When we divide negative 7 by both sides, when you divide a negative by a negative, you'll get a positive. We'll get that 1 pencil, P, is equal to $2. Because when you divide a negative by a negative, you get a positive. So it's the cost per pencil is $2. Okay, let's try one more, and then I'll let you guys do some of your own work. Okay, so on this problem here, we're looking at, this is a type of word problem that can seem really tricky, but once you learn how to solve it, I think it's actually a little bit fun to solve these types of problems. So the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 72. What is the smallest of these numbers? So we have to think about the information that we know, and we need to list out that information. So for starters, the first piece of information that we're given is that it's talking about, we need to use addition because the word sum is talking about addition. So the sum of the 3 consecutive numbers is going to be 72. So we can write 72. Now we need to list the terms, the 3 consecutive numbers. So we know that there is going to be 3 numbers, and we know that those 3 numbers are consecutive. Consecutive, the word consecutive means like three numbers that are in a row, one after another. So the numbers 1, 2, and 3 are consecutive. But if I were to add up 1, 2, and 3, I would get 6, and that's not 72. So the numbers that I'm looking for have to be much greater than 1, 2, and 3, but when you add up those three consecutive numbers, you're going to get 72. Now you could solve this problem by just, doing, like checking it. Like you could just guess. You could just say, well, it's probably in the 20s, right? It's going to be in the 20s. It's going to be higher than 20 and lower than 30. And you could just sort of guess and you could find the answer that way. But there's a way that you can solve it by using algebra as well. So we know that the sum of, there's three numbers and they're consecutive. So how do we write those terms down? How do we write those numbers down as algebra to show that they are consecutive? So the way we do that is we say that the first number is the smallest number, and it is going to be x. The second number, well, let me just erase that circle. It's confusing. The second number is going to be x plus 1. And the third number is going to be x plus 2. So the first number is this one here. The second number is the first number plus 1. And the third number is the first number plus 2. Just like if you were showing the consecutive numbers 1, 2, and 3, you could say that 1 is the first number, 1 plus 1 is the next number, and 1 plus 2 is the next number of the consecutive numbers 1, 2, and 3. So even though we do not know what x represents yet, we can still write that it's consecutive by adding 1 or adding 2 to show that those are the consecutive numbers. So the terms are first number, second number, third number. Okay, so what we can do now is just like if you were listing a bunch of things that you have. If I were to list, all the pens that I have, like I have 5 pens in my bedroom, and I have 20 pens in the kitchen, and I have 4 pens on my desk, and there's 16 pens in the car. If I were to tell you a list of things that I have, I could use commas. But if I were to want to add those things up, I could convert those commas into addition signs. So we can rewrite this problem as with the terms with addition signs between them to show that they are going to all add up to 72. Okay, so we've written them out. 72 equals x plus 1 plus x plus 2. So those are the three consecutive terms that when added together, they're going to equal 72. So first step when we get a multi-step problem like this is to combine our like terms. So we're going to count up our x's. We have 3 x's. And we're going to combine our like constant terms as well. So then we have an equation that 3x plus 3 is equal to 72. Now we can just go about solving this algebra problem like we would solve any two-step algebra problem by subtracting 3 on both sides and then dividing 3 on both sides. We can say that x is equal to 23. Because 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 20 is 60. So yes, 23. So that doesn't quite solve the problem because if we are listing term, well, it does tell us what x is, and x is the first term. But if we wanted to list the 3 numbers, we would know that the first term is x, the second term is x plus 1, and the third term is x plus 2. So the three numbers are 23, 24, and 25. Oops, I ran out of space, my iPad. Let me just write that again. 23, 24, and 25. Okay, so that is how you solve word problems. And what I would like you to take away from this is to always do your best to solve the problems. But the starting place is always, what information are you given and how can you convert that into a number sentence? I'm going to give you a few more problems to work through for this video, and then I'm going to assign you some homework. Okay. And don't forget, you can always ask me questions. I'm available and very available to help you with your questions and to help you work through different problems. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to let you solve this problem on your own. Don't forget, what is the information that you're looking for? What is the information that you're given? What is the unknown thing? The unknown thing is going to be your variable. And how can you write this out? So the question again is, you bought a magazine for $5 and 4 erasers. You spent a total of $25. How much did each eraser cost? Okay, so how can you write this equation? And I'll let you write your answers on the right-hand side there. We don't know how many friends Sumali has, and that's what we're trying to find with this problem. She won 40 super bouncy balls playing horseshoes at her school's game night. Later, she gave 2 to each of her friends. She only has 8 remaining. How many friends does she have? So she has a total of 40 bouncy balls. She gave away 2 to each of her friends, and she only has 8 left. So after she had that, she had 40, she took away a certain amount, depending on how many friends she has. So that's going to be a variable. And she only has 8 left. So how can you write that as an equation? And how many friends does she have? How many friends did she give bouncy balls to? Okay, so Imani spent half of her weekly allowance playing mini golf. To earn more money, her parents let her wash the car for $4. What is her weekly allowance if she ended with $12? So what's the thing we do not know in this problem? The thing we don't know in this problem is, what is her weekly allowance? But we do know that she spent half of it. We do know that she earned $4. So she added $4 to her weekly allowance. After she had spent half and added 4, she had $12 at the end. So it equaled 12 at the end of it. So what is the variable? What is the variable in this is, what is her weekly allowance? Okay, so I'm going to let you try to figure this one out. Okay, so hope you guys understood that. It is tricky, and we will spend more time on this. Word problems with algebra are always challenging. You can go back and you can watch the video again, and you can also ask me questions as you go through. Okay, bye.